And we're live. Welcome to Music Matters with Jason Tramm, and thank you so much for joining us for our unique podcast community where we explore the triumphs and challenges of the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished artists. And thank you so much for helping us grow. We hit 1,890 subscribers, and we grow every day thanks to people like you. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. And we have a wonderful array of guests and topics from classical music to rock and roll, singer-songwriters, artists, directors, and everything in between. So keep checking us out and seeing what we do. We have over 300 interviews, and you can see all of our interviews at www.jasontram.net. Again, that's www.jasontram with two M's.net. We have a fantastic guest today, David Bizic, who's one of the international star baritones who's singing on the stage today. He made his debut at the Metropolitan Opera in 2014 and singing opposite in Werther, singing opposite Jonas Kaufmann, and I was actually there, luckily enough, and got to see that great night. And since then, he's sung all over the world, LA Opera, all over Europe, and everywhere else. So we're delighted he can join us. Welcome, David.
Hey, good to have you. Good to have me right now.
It's a pleasure to meet you virtually, and
pleasure as well.
And Maria Cristina Nicola, a good friend of mine, introduced me and made the connection. I was delighted that you can come on.
Yes, I had an interview with Maria Cristina a couple of weeks ago. It was such a wonderful, pleasant interview. We chatted for more than 2 hours, and well, she just wrote it down, everything I said, and put little bit of makeup on it, and it came out really nice.
Well, she was so excited because she's a wonderful journalist and a really good writer, and she knows how to tell a great story, and that's so important because as artists, that's what we do. We tell stories, right? Especially in the opera.
It's true, but she was also very attentive, and she knew what questions to ask. I mean, I usually get sometimes I get very similar questions, and it all, it's recycled ones. But sometimes when she really knew where to take me and what to ask me. So that's why we spend more than 2 hours together.
What I love about the podcast format is that we can go in any direction. It's live without a net, and I just really enjoy that platform. Did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
No, I had no idea what I wanted to be. I knew I liked music. I was always surrounded by music from early age. So and I played piano when I was a kid. I went to music school, but I did not know that I will be a musician. Maybe I don't know what an artist is really. I mean, we are all artists in some way, but I kind of knew that I wanted to be on stage of any kind and express myself through words or through sounds or through movement. So I was pursuing, maybe I had an idea maybe to be an actor. Never occurred to me that I could be an opera singer. I was not exposed to opera that early. I mean, I had some opera at home, opera CDs and then famous tenors with their arias. But I did not know I would be on stage singing those.
I think we're a similar age, and I grew up when I was young. I would have the three tenors, and I would listen to those different voices, and especially Pavarotti was a real favorite. But getting to see him when I saw the three tenors at Giant Stadium when I was in college, and that was a great performance, and it really kind of opened my eyes.
For me, the three tenor CD with Zubin Mehta conducting was the highlight of my operatic childhood, youth. Exploration in the world of the opera. I don't know why. I mean, they made it look so easy, and they were so open to us, the non-operatic audience at that time. But the repertoire they were singing was serious opera as well. And I do remember listening to and watching them on TV and listening their CDs, and also trying to conduct. And my favorite, yours was Pavarotti. I had a thing for Domingo, and I loved Zubin Mehta. My mother especially. I mean, she found a couple of recordings of him, video recordings on TV that we had on VHS tapes, him conducting Bolero, Ravel's, and his movement and everything. So I was completely fascinated by all four of them. And well, I have to tell you now, many years later, out of four of them, so it's Jose Carreras, Pavarotti, Domingo, and Meta, I have worked with two of them. I have been conducted few times by Zubin Meta in Israel with his orchestra, and also in Valencia. He was conducting me in Don Giovanni, and also with the Domingo, I've done again Don Giovanni in LA Opera, and also I won his I got second prize in his Operalia competition in 2007 in Paris. So it's crazy. I mean, it's so surreal to meet your heroes, which I would not recommend to anybody, not because of those two, but because when you meet your heroes, you usually you get disappointed because you fall in love with an art and not the artist. Artist can
Absolutely.
be also different, you know. So anyway, it was a great thing to work with both of them.
That must have been an amazing experience. I'm a huge Zubin Mehta fan, of course. I'm a fan of Domingo and Pavarotti as well, of course. But Zubin Mehta, as a conductor, watching his gesture, he was like when young Zubin Mehta had the most fiery gestures, and I just loved to watch him.
It's true. It's true, and also privately, you know, in the backstage, he's a very warm person. Uh, it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that every time because I lived in Tel Aviv for during my studies in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, it was all 2 or 3 years. I was told, and then I've seen it live that every time that Meta is in the city and conducting his orchestra when he was not traveling, there was always a nice Indian catering around the Israeli Philharmonic, and so people knew when he was in town because it smelled fantastic in the neighborhood.
Indian food's amazing.
Oh
That's funny.
yes, oh
So,
yes.
what brought you to Israel to study voice? Now, when did you first start studying?
Um, I was uh, I was a member of an amateur choir in Serbia in Belgrade where I grew up, um, and it was just a normal choir with wonderful people, friends of mine. Um, we traveled, we had fun. Nothing was serious about this choir, but pure love for music and friendship, and we are still very good friends. But then one day a conductor approached me and said that he had a problem with my voice, not because it was bad, but it was too good. He could hear me, and then he could hear the rest of the choir, and he thought that I had something to maybe work on, and he asked me if I would like to have some solos with the choir, and of course I said yes, because again I loved this exposure. um, as long as it's on stage. I'm more timid, but put me on stage, I explode. So I found a teacher who, after just a few minutes of working with me, said, "Oh, you're the godsend, the material I was hoping to ever to teach." And for 1 year, I was kind of studying with him and also singing in the choir. And then I realized that I could really do this. I mean, I could really enjoy doing this, and I could envision myself being on stage and singing actually opera. So I um, I was visiting Israel as a tourist back in '99, and escaped from a tour group for a few hours and went to Jerusalem Academy of Music. Went to their office, and it was in May. And I said, May 2000 actually. And I said, is there somebody that could hear me? I think I would like to study music here. And they looked at me like I was an alien, like, no, but it's the stupidest thing that somebody can do. Come to your office, said, find me a teacher. I'm going to study here. And said, no. They said, no. And then I said, listen, I'm here only for a few hours. I would really like if you could help me about something. I'm very passionate, you know. And they said, okay, listen, there is somebody coming. A teacher is coming in half an hour. If you could wait for her and ask her, but a word of caution, she might not be nice to you because she's not a nice person anyway. I said, okay. They described her to me. She was like uh, a short Romanian lady. So I recognized her, came to her, and of course she said no. And then after a few minutes of, come on, please, lady, she said, okay, I'll give you a few minutes. And just few minutes into no, like 30 seconds into my singing, she stopped me, ran out, and came back with a pianist and said, Now sing it again. And I had only two songs that I knew that I had music for, and that was Lasciatemi morire, Let Me Die, and the other one
Monteverdi.
was,
Yep.
and the other one was Bellasi come un angelo from Don Pasquale opera. And this is the aria that I loved because of Dmitry Khorostovsky that I've been listening on his CDs. So after, I don't know, half hour working with her, she gave me the repertoire to prepare for the audition that was coming up in I think July, and she sent me home, and I had 2 months to learn few more arias or songs, and to remember all the musical training I had, the theory especially, and I passed. I passed as the best one in the audition, and she shouted at everybody, he's mine, he's mine, I found him, I discovered him. And yes, and for next couple of years we've been studying and working together, and this is how I got to be in Israel, actually.
I really love that
Um,
story because, for young people starting out who may not have the connections in the industry, being tenacious and putting yourself in the path to find that next contact is so important.
it's absolutely important. You have to believe in yourself. I mean, this is number one, and it shows. I mean, sometimes you believe in yourself, and you don't have, you you don't have what it takes, but still, believing in yourself is a big plus. Well, this is the old times, this is the 2000s, so it's 22 years ago, before internet and social media. I have no idea what the young singers are doing and how they're doing right now, because I have a feeling that people like my teacher, if somebody approached her now, or somebody, they would say, send me a link, and I'll give you my 10 seconds of listening to you and evaluating you like this, and it's really, I think it's really difficult.
It's
We
so,
need only 10 seconds. Don't I mean,
and
Jason, when you're sent some music, you need 10 seconds to know if you like it or not, and you keep going. The offer is such a,
it's so
I,
difficult when with links. I mean, you can get a sense of things, but you can't get a sense of the size of the voice. You can only get that from being in the room with somebody.
no, yeah, and so the advice I give to young ones, I mean, because I teach as well, and I have a group of students that I work with privately, or in master classes, or I visit. I travel around the world as well, giving master classes. I always tell them to sing good it's very necessary. But what happens when you have a big, like, high profile competition with 20 singers that really sing good? You have to be different, you have to distinct yourself, you have to be original. Actually, you have to be yourself with all of your strong points and weak points, but you have to present yourself. Don't fake it. Don't imitate anybody, their looks, their phrases, their just be yourself. And like, also like in acting, I mean, can you imagine that you watch a movie with everybody, where everybody is pretty and good looking, and like, what, it's a bit dull, shallow. So opera as well, I mean, of course we need fantastic voices, but we need unique voices, and that's what I give as an advice to young ones as well.
Thank you so much for giving back to the next generation. It's so important that the people who are on that stage now give back and pay it forward to the generation who's stepping up.
Absolutely, I've been helped a lot when I was a younger student. I mean, studying in Israel at that time, I really didn't have money. I mean, I had days when I, walked to school instead of taking a bus, because it was cheaper, and I had half a falafel instead of the whole thing, because it was cheaper. I was thinking about saving, every little shekel in Israel at that time. And yes, my parents did offer me, we can give you help, whatever you need. I said no. I mean, this is I enjoy the struggle. I feel stronger when I am under stress, and it
It's
stayed
the
with me.
artist's way, like La Boheme, right?
It's true, like La Boheme. But the thing is, I've been helped a lot by people from the opera world, by rich people who were investing in, having fundraisers. They were they wanted to invest some money. So either they invest in ballet or their favorite sports or in the movie business. Well, those people liked opera, and thank them so much for thinking of going in for the young artists and keeping this profession alive. Without them, I would never, never, never be where I am now. Because of them, I went to New York, to Japan, to France, to study with singers and pianists and coaches, which I would never have if it wasn't for their help. And I don't have money to give, but I have so much knowledge and experience for the young ones that I really need, and I have a need to give back. Uh, so this is what I do as well.
That's wonderful, and thank you for those people who helped make the career possible and who are generous. It's so important to keep that keep the ladder going for our business and for the industry. So, what was your first professional role, and how did you get there from Tel Aviv to your first professional role?
When you say first professional role, do you mean like the principal role, or just first professional role when I was paid?
Up to you.
Well, I have two. I have two stories. Let's go with
We
with
love
the smaller
stories.
role first. Well, during studies in Israel, I was approached by Israeli Opera, and they had young artist program there, and so they asked me to do an audition, which I did, and I passed. And for 2 years, while studying, I was also a member of a New Israeli Opera at that time, young artist program. And of course, like in every young artist program, we have been doing our own concerts for traveling around the country, or doing for kids, for old ones, for or like a pre group, like a show before a show or something like that. And if we merited, of course, we have been put on real stage to do real roles. So my first one was in Eugene Onegin in 2002, which was actually exactly 2 years after I started studying in Israel, or 2.5 years after I had my first voice lesson. I
Wow.
was in Eugene Onegin. I was a Zaretsky. That's a small role. He's like a bass baritone. He's a guy that holds guns in the duel between Onegin and Lenski, and he's very nervous and authoritative. And well, I was nervous and authoritative as well. And it went really well. I remember having I wanted to buy something from the money I made, because I did 12 shows. I have never done 12 of anything at that time, except maybe 12 donuts, or I don't know. Anyway, 12 falafels. So I used the whole fee and a half to buy a coat. And it was not like Colline
I was going to say
in
Colleen.
Opera. I still have that coat, and I know how much it cost me. It cost me 1.5 Zaretskis. I have no idea how much it is in real money, but this is so. I figured out. Listen, maybe I will need something. I'll need a new phone, new computer. How many Figaros is that? I need a new car. How many Leporellos is that? I want to move into nicer neighborhood. The rent. How many Marcellos is it? And when you start thinking like this, you have this wonderful connection to your role, your characters, because they're paying. They're your they're the sponsors
They're
of your
the
life.
vehicle. They're the vehicle. That's
Yes, you have to
fantastic.
be nice to them as well. So I've done a couple of those small ones in Israel, and then I moved to Paris. I've done bunch of smalls, like 150 shows, maybe 13 to 15 roles. That's another story to open. But then the big one came right after the Young Artist Program of Paris Opera, and that was I was approached by the casting director of Nantes and Angers, to do Figaro in the Nozze di Figaro. It was a big one, and of course, I I always say yes, especially when it comes to Mozart. I mean, and if it's Da Ponte Mozart, I mean, the trilogy, Don Giovanni, Nozze di Figaro, and Così fan tutte.
Holy
I have
Trinity
done
of Mozart.
I
Absolutely.
have done all the roles from this opera, that are written for male voice, except Commendatore, which is like a profundo bass. But who knows? One day, a little bit longer beard. I mix Coca-Cola with a little bit of whiskey, and the voice just drops and blah. Right now, it's really high because I just came from. I just gave a voice lesson to a tenor, and I trying to show him something. I went a little bit higher, and so now I'm like, doesn't matter. So my first big role was Figaro in The Marriage. So these are two my
And what was
the
it like
roles.
to step into your first lead role? Were you nervous? What were the nerves like? What was it? What was the preparation like?
Well, I think I have been preparing this role. Well, I have done so many little scenes during the studying during my studies. Little Figaro duets with Susanna, his arias. Then I did a little bit of Conte and his, so the music was constantly around me, especially for that opera. So it was a perfect opportunity to do it. And I think I studied it for 6 to 8 months because I was freaking out. I mean, six
Of
to eight months
course.
is a long, long, long period to study something and dedicate to something. Uh, Now it takes me like three maybe months of hard work and maybe some few months of just getting used to the role. But at that time but I had nerves of steel. I i told myself, you are here, you wanted to be here. I mean, there's no backup. Do you have another job on mind right now? Would you like to be somewhere else?
A
No, you
path
want
you've
to be in
chosen.
study.
Absolutely, you're on that path.
And then once you're there, just be that. Be there and be that guy. Don't be David. By the way, you said my name was David Bizic, or David Bizic, which is absolutely correct pronunciation of my name in Serbian, which not many people know or know how to say. So thank you for this. I go with David Bizic. I take all
Yeah,
the little signs from.
never like mispronouncing someone's name wrong.
No, you did the perfect pronunciation. I was really surprised, and thank you for that. So I said, never be David on stage. Be Figaro, be whoever you are. If you're not feeling well, physically, are you sore throat, fever, whatever, tired, or excited, or adrenalized, never show yourself, but let the character take care of it. So I hate breaking the fourth wall unless it's a director's idea, and even then I don't break the fourth wall from my personal world into the opera world. So yeah, so whatever happens, it happens to the other guy.
That's a good
That's
point. Yeah, that's what's great about being on the stage. I love about the same when I conduct. I get to like inhabit a symphony, or I get to inhabit an opera and like be that character and be that person. It's like, and each symphony is like a world. Each opera is its own unique world. That's what's fun about being in the theater, right? It's just like that kind of you lose yourself in that.
we are we are time travelers. Um, that's that's how I see myself. I can really jump into future or past or present or other dimension and just be there and enjoy it. And after it's over, I feel I've been there for real. I have this I have this drawer filled, in my brain, filled with so much experience and emotion and information. Brain is a stupid organ. It believes everything you tell him. So yeah, so we tell our brains we are right now in Paris and we are starving to death, and it's really cold, and it could be in July in Vancouver, but still we are in Paris. And yes, and not just that, but we're like, um, you know, uh, archaeology. I did study archaeology before I became a singer.
I saw that in your bio.
Um,
That's fascinating. I'm such a big fan of history, and whenever I conduct, I always make time to go to the museums and all the old churches, and that's my favorite thing in the world. What led you to archaeology? And
well, I needed. I as a kid, I traveled a lot with my family, and mostly Greece, because Serbia is quite close to Greece. It's like few hours drive, 6 to 8 hours to get to anywhere you want in Greece. So I've been constantly surrounded by, and also Roman Empire in Serbia was, we've been we were in the heart of it. So everywhere you look, there were some ruins, and people just see ruins and they keep going. But I needed something. I needed to this to be alive. I wanted to know why, how, who, all the W's, and so I kind of, and plus I loved Indiana Jones, so I combined it
Great
together
movies.
in high school, and then just went, and I loved history. Well, I love Second World War history mostly. I mean, this was like my passion project, Second World War. But once I passed the exam for archaeology, and I discovered new passion that was prehistory. Uh, uh, of men. So it's like 4000 BC. That was kind of a period that really interested me. Neolith or Neolith, and yeah. Why archaeology? Because I wanted to put life into artifacts.
Hmm.
Um,
I
and
find that
why?
fascinating that now you're one of the people who cultivate the music of the 1800s, and we bring that to life. All the performance practice that goes into that.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned just now archaeology. The thing is, what is the ultimate goal of archaeologist or archaeology? It is to collect all the information and artifacts and put it in a reasonable, correct story, uh, a picture or anything, to make something that doesn't exist anymore into 3D, and to make it to sound it to make it sound logical, and to present it. Um, and what do we have? We have, scrapes and nothing. So what do we do with music? I mean, you take ink on a paper that was written by somebody somewhere sometimes, and you make it alive with your mind, with your soul, with your body. I mean, I sing it, you conduct it, Jason, you find the idea of what it is, and you give it to the musicians, and they all feel it, maybe differently, maybe the same, but then they all gather in one room, and create something that is alive. So that, aren't we like musical archaeologists? Not to offend the real musical archaeologists, the people that do archaeology of musical instruments or ancient music. Sure, but we create something, from ink and paper, and it's always different but the same. The very important for me, when I'm like teaching, also when I'm working with conductors, when I was younger, there is like an eighth and a quaver, and I sing it as two eighths, and the conductor says, sorry, like eighth and a quaver." And I said, but don't worry about it. I said, "No, I don't worry about it, but you're like lying to the world. I mean, it has been written this way. He was a professional composer. He could have done whatever you want it to be, but he did it this way. Do it this way." I mean, so we all sing the same music in the same way, sort of, but we give our soul and our background, we put into it, and that's why we have so many wonderful artists through history, and today and tomorrow, of course, who are all doing the same thing, but in a slightly different way. So, but nobody's lying to
That's
anybody else.
the beauty of what we do, right? Is that the even though it can be something, it goes, our art form goes back to the early 1600s. We're constantly putting our stamp of today on that music too. We bring ourselves and what we know into that as well. It's like great conversation with the past.
True, absolutely.
So you've made your professional debut. You've done your first leading role. How did the international career blossom after that?
um well, it was, let me see, 2006 was my big, like, principal role debut, and after this, I did a competition, Operalia Competition, in Paris. It is done every year somewhere else in the world, but this time it was in Paris, and I did live in Paris at that moment. So it was great. It was easy. It was cheaper for them. They didn't have to pay for a hotel. So I did this competition. It was my first competition, and I think it was my first, last, the only one. 3 in 1.
Wow, good for
I
you.
I
One
did not
competition.
like. I don't like competitions. I'm not saying that they're bad. Of course, they're not. But for me, it felt a little bit weird, just only because we all come super, great prepared, and it. I don't know. I did not feel so relaxed and comfortable, and I knew that I have one chance and one chance only, and if I blew it, I blew it. So I didn't know what to do. So I did exactly. I was myself, and it worked. I mean, it was a fierce competition. So many names from that year. If you Google now, I mean, all of them.
Who was in your class that year?
We had Angela Mead, we had Lisette Oropesa, you know, bunch of others. They are like world stars. They are everywhere, and it was fantastic. And so I didn't know what to do. I mean, I remember passing from the quarterfinals to semifinals. It was kind of easy. I did one aria. There was 40 of us. Suddenly there was 20. It was good. And then semifinals from 20 to 10. It was a bit tougher for me. Yes, I passed. And then just before the finals, I'm in the makeup room, just doing the foundation, just fixing because there's strong light. They were televising it or something, nothing special. Domingo walks in the makeup room, sit next to me on this side, and starts talking to me in Hebrew. I speak Hebrew because I studied there. Why does he speak Hebrew? Because he studied there as well in the 60s or something with his wife Marta. They were both in the like the troupe, and he told me the story where they did Carmen in Hebrew, Russian, and French because everybody knew their line in their own language, or the original. So even the dialogues were funny, and we are talking, and I'm talking to Domingo. I don't know what to do. I lost it completely. And then suddenly, plop 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 plop, on this side, Mirella Freni sits.
Oh,
Because she was in a jury, or she wasn't in a jury, but one of her students was in the competition. That's why she wasn't in a jury. So she's here, he's here, and they start talking about
surreal.
some staging in Barcelona. You remember Barcelona 74? Ah, ha, ha, he, he. And I'm losing it. I don't know. And then she turns to me and says, "I heard your voice. Good job. Good luck. Enjoy." And then he does as well. He was conducting me that night. I walked on that stage completely in is it called seventh heaven or ninth heaven? No,
Seventh
one.
Heaven, yeah,
I
amazing.
was in seventh heaven. I didn't know where I was, but I remember I just I delivered. I was the best that I've ever been. And yeah, I got this second prize. Fantastic. And from then, a bunch of agents approached me, casting directors. The roles started coming, and yeah, slowly, year after year, I had more and more bigger roles. Paris Opera kept engaging me for middle roles, which is great. And bigger roles were in small houses. And that's the way the young artist should go with his, building the career. Big roles, small houses, middle roles, big houses, small roles, big houses. Like never overdo yourself. Let the stars handle the pressure, but just be there and learn from them, which I did, and I learned so much. And now I can see that whenever I am, wherever I am, whenever I am, there's a bunch of those little roles, Klopstock, and like little, the dinner is ready, la cena è
La
pronta,
cena è
like
pronta.
anything like this. Those are young Davids that are just building, but and they look up to me as well. So I I have never had, well, maybe once, but I've been in this business like for 20 years now. Uh, I haven't had bad experience with big artists and names while I was young. Once we get to a certain level, you meet different people. But still, when I was young, I looked up to so many. I have sung with so many big names, like historically big names, and it's just amazing. So I mean, I don't know where we were, but
Oh, please. I love these stories and there's so much to tell. So you finally get your Metropolitan Opera debut, and there's nothing like I'm a New Yorker, but the Met is such a special place and such a historic place. What was it like backstage before you did your debut?
um, well, I was there. I got there. I did it myself. No nepotism or connections. I felt I earned it. Um, and then I the well, working in the Met is a wonderful thing. Everybody is very professional, friendly. Um, but I want to say professional a few more times because that level is just amazing. I have never seen it anywhere else. It feels like show business because it's show and business, and the audience is very demanding, and we're exposed to the whole world and people that come to the opera, and they don't come for one or two shows. Like in Europe, you get four maximum in some cities. In the Met you get 8 to 12 shows. Um, you never know who's in the audience, so you're always giving your best, and they expect you to do that. So once I was there, I was just ready. I there was nothing I could do to make myself feel or sound bad. It's a weird thing to say, but I felt like I was doping. Like somebody injected something in me. I was like ready to go constantly, but not like in a happy way. But like I delivered everything. So
Focused.
once I got on that stage and sang it for the first time, uh, felt good. And then the curtain call came, and I was so afraid of the curtain call, actually, not because of the reaction of the audience. They were okay, and I wasn't like the main role to be criticized a lot. The thing is that I have I have told myself when I was just starting to sing, I like in 2000, I told myself, what do you want to do? Like, where do you want to go? So I gave myself, like, there's like an easy task is like, I will learn this aria in 2 weeks. That's an easy one. I will learn the role in 3 months. That's okay. But so as you go higher and higher, you tell yourself, I will sing in the Met one day. And this sounds so impossible. It's a stupid thing to say to yourself, but it keeps you going. Like, oh, one day, I will sing in the Met. And as I was more and more getting ready and being better, I kept repeating this as a mantra. So once I got to the Met and I had this curtain call, the biggest dream of my life, professional life, just got fulfilled. And that was a scary thing, because what now?
What
Like,
was next?
Well,
What was your
like
next
how
motivation?
how is this possible? I mean, I am still young. I am still like a baby in this business, and now I'm a Met singer. I'm branded, okay, but what now? I mean, is this enough to live from? Maybe for a few weeks, but then what? And I got so scared. Like, what's after? What can I do after Met? Sure, I can sing in Covent Garden. I did in Wiener Staatsoper. I did in Paris Opera. I did, but what? And so I told myself, okay, 100 shows. Let's do 100 shows at the Met. Just the stupidest thing I could tell myself, like 100 shows. That's crazy. That's impossible. Well, few weeks ago, when I finished my last show in the season in the Met, that was my 51st show.
Oh,
So I've sang 51. I came halfway already, and there are some things that are uh, probably or possibly going to happen in the Met in the next seasons. So
I will be there for sure. That's so exciting. And uh, so you talk about setting goals for yourself. Yeah, I guess the goals are always changing no matter where you are in your career. And as things change and as you deepen your career and as you take on new roles and new Fox, How have your roles changed as you've been singing?
Oh well, I started as a bass baritone, not because I wanted that. I was young. I had this dark, deep voice. My high notes were not, my strongest feature, and it's good. I knew that, so I stick to kind of bass baritone roles, and also a bunch of those small roles were written for, you could be a father, an old gypsy, something, come in and out. So it wasn't so difficult technically to do them. um but back to the Met in 2011. The casting director, no, Peter Gelb was actually in the audience. In I was singing Mazzetto in Aix-en-Provence festival, and bunch of other opera directors and casting agents and directors and everything. So I knew that. I knew some of the names. I told my agent, listen, these are the people that saw me last night, or that's the info you need. Do your thing now. And he did write a bunch of emails, or I don't know. And he got a reply from Peter Gelb, actually, from the Met, saying that he saw me, he knew of me through his scouts, and he has to think about me and like call me in 2 months. He wrote, write me in 2 months. So in 2 months, I'm calling my agent, like, write it now, like, do it. So in 2 months, we contacted the Met. It was 2011, and we got a reply. Listen, we like David. We think that something can be, done with him. Interesting. We need him to come to New York and do the audition for us on the big stage, because we had a bad experience with finding fantastic singers, but they did not, their voice didn't carry, or the energy wasn't there. So to avoid that, we want to see him on our stage, doing his regular repertoire, and also bring Albert from Werther, from Asnes Werther, as an option. And here are the dates. And the dates were like 5th of February, 7th of March, 26th of June. Like, so I said, take the first one in case I have to, cancel it. It happens. So we can pick the second one, let's not wait for the last moment and be relaxed about it. Take the first one, which we did. And they actually paid for the whole trip and hotel.
Wow.
They were so serious about me. I felt it, that it was, so I got there. 2 days before, I met with Howard Watkins, a wonderful pianist whom I worked with.
Terrific person
Uh,
too.
you know Howard,
Yeah,
probably.
he's a wonderful man.
He is fantastic. So we went through the repertoire, and then I asked him who's playing the audition. He said, "Well, it's me." So I did the
Voila.
audition, but I went on this big stage of the Met, and it's huge. I mean, I you when you're in the audience, you see how big it is, but when you're standing on stage and you see the whole audience, and way in the back, like couple of like five small figures are observing me with their papers, and like not actually listening to me, although they are, but these are the auditions. And I walked there on completely empty stage, and I said, okay, this is it. Do your thing. If you stand there and you sing, nothing will happen. You have to, you have to make them look at you. You have to do something, but don't wave your hands too much. So I brought this energy of mine, this like a sponge, like sucking in all the energy, all the space, and I
You could hear it
made
in your
myself.
speaking. Your energy is just palpable. You can tell.
It was on stage as well. I made that stage so small and myself so big. I anchored myself, and everything I did, it was, I do a little gesture, like I show a little bit there, and I see two heads moving with me, and like, okay, I got them now. So slowly, I mean, yeah, that's in my head, of course. But half hour after the audition, I got a job to do Werther Albert, which is a French lyric baritone. I am not a French lyric. I wasn't a French lyric baritone. I still am not. I was so confused. How come that? everybody in the world is giving me bass baritone roles or heavier kind of things, and you get the Met giving me a house debut, a role debut, a style debut,
Oh,
and trusting me with French, which, okay, I do live in France now, but I didn't at that time. Trusting me with French, which is hard language to pull on stage, especially on that kind of stage. Plus, doing a new piece. I mean, not new piece like Werther, but new staging, new production done by Sir Richard Eyre. Like the big movie director, with names like Kaufman and Garancha was at that time, but then she pulled out because I don't know, whatever. So I was so confused. What are they seeing and hearing that I didn't? And I don't know, but they saw something. They were so encouraging, and they trusted me, and I became overnight. I became a baritone from bass baritone, and slowly walked. Right after this, I walked into La Boheme, into Puccini roles. Still, again, this strong metallic. So I changed my voice and my technique and approach to music and everything while being on stage. I wasn't preparing this where I am now and what I am now. I wasn't born like this, nor I was preparing myself to this. It just happened on stage. I was in trenches, and it was a survival mode for me. And so the repertoire I'm doing is well, it's still new for me. I mean, I constantly get something new and interesting that I had no idea I could do or I wanted to do.
how do
And
you
still
keep
and
the
still I'm very very still very passionate about Mozart, very very passionate, and still, again, never say no to Mozart. It's
nothing
like
like Mozart? It's like an old
it's
friend for you. It must be like an old friend.
absolutely the kinky one. The Ponte and Mozart crazy story.
You know, De Ponte is actually buried in New York City.
I do know that.
Yeah,
I mean, his story, uh, he was he born Jewish or born Catholic, and then he changed
born Jewish in, I want to say, Venice, and he
became.
got kicked out of Venice because he was a crazy man. Went to
Yes, yes,
Vienna, got
yes.
kicked out of Vienna. Went to England, got kicked out of England, and then came to America.
Usually, yeah, and then did he become like a priest or something, or like there
He
was like
became a
lots of stuff.
priest, so that yeah, he was a quote unquote priest, but he was, a womanizing gentleman, and running around and doing crazy
I
things.
mean, this guy he was like a tenor. I don't know.
He's become the source of multiple librettos himself.
He did. I'm sure he did. It's a crazy guy. Absolutely.
I
So
love the
anyway,
books.
I love the way they play with words, and it's yeah.
So, do you how important is it to have a team behind you? You said your agent. I know a lot of singers we've had on the show have still have teachers that they work with regularly, so that they can manage changes, like you're mentioning, when you're changing, your voice parts, and you're changing roles, and the voice changes naturally as we grow into new things. How important is it to have a team behind you?
Yeah, it maybe not a team. It's important. I mean, sometimes it's one person, but sometimes you need somebody you trust, and somebody who will tell you the truth, not sugarcoat it, but not be nasty at the same time. Just be realistic. We get different reviews for every show, or for every, like in paper or now in social media as well. Anybody can open a blog and write things about you. um, I learned not to read them as something that is very truthful, because I had one of the best reviews and one of the worst reviews from the same show.
That's crazy. Yep.
One person loved me with big L, and the other person hated me. One person wrote a love letter to Mozart, saying that he has found somebody who can, do him, who can, like, present everything Mozart had as an idea. And the other one just like ripped into pieces. So it's same show. So what, so I like the good reviews, but I don't think of myself more when I read it. So I need somebody. Back to the team question. I need somebody who knows me, who knows my good parts and bad parts. I don't have teacher or teachers coming with me. I have a couple of coaches that are uh, in different cities that I trust, that I worked with, and they do come. I mean, I have a coach in New York who is also Serbian, George Nesic.
Oh,
He
I've met George. Wonderful.
Yes, so George and I are close friends. We did a bunch of concerts together and lots of coachings, and I trust his opinion very much because he never comes to me and says, "Oh my God, you were and this and that." He has a subtle approach to this. In few words, I know what's happening, and I trust him. My teacher is too old now. She's an old Romanian. She's still alive. She's in her like late 80s now.
Wow.
Last time she saw a show of mine was in Paris. I was doing Guglielmo in Così fan tutte, and she flew from Tel Aviv to Paris, and she came to a dinner with at my place, and she's like really short. She's like this, and she's looking at me, and after the whole dinner and next day I have to sing. She says, "David, come here. Like I traveled hundreds of kilometers, and I'm very old, and these tickets are expensive. So come closer." And as I come, she slaps me, like really slaps me, and says, "Don't mess it up tomorrow."
That's a great story.
I was so afraid of her. I did
It's
this
always the
show.
really short ones that are the most
Oh
intense.
my God, she had this puff. Don't mess it up tomorrow. And she didn't say mess it up. She used different words. Um,
Choice lyrics.
yeah. She was da Ponte. Um, anyway, I do appreciate. I do love when of course with my agents I discuss the career, the future, what's going on. I send them all of my uh, like audio or video files that I have done, and we do have some kind of a plan, um, like how the 5-year plan, and we are it's going well so far.
So it's going to be certainly going amazingly. Now we all lost our plan for a little while when COVID hit and everything was shut down. The travel and the opera houses and the symphonies and all concerts and society was shut down. And I like to point out to people that, especially in New Yorkers, that the Metropolitan Opera was only closed for like an occasional blizzard, 9/11. I mean, it was a very rare occurrence. We were closed for a year and a half. I mean, that's never happened before in the history of our art form. What did you do during the COVID period, and how did you keep yourself artistically fulfilled?
Oh, well, I the first cancellation that I had was actually on the day of the pre-general. Uh, we just did a whole show, but during that pre-general show, the the, the country said we're closing down, so they let us finish this extra hour and a half, and they sent us home and said, "Catch your flights and go home." That was in February 2020. So I came home. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, it felt like evacuation. There's a bunch of flights were canceled, and it felt like you're fleeing the war uh, and going into unknown again. It felt like wartime. Seeing people in the street and thinking, "Are they coming towards me? Should they cross the street?" Like he's walking a dog. Which hand should they put the leash in? Are the dogs allowed to sniff each other? I mean, nobody knew anything. So yes, we were at home, confined in France. Every night at 8 o'clock for a couple of weeks, or I think even 2 months, we were, started banging pots and in a support for medical workers. And then I found a bunch of recordings of my arias in karaoke orchestral versions, and I put a sound system on my terrace. I live on a second floor, and and I played it very loud, and I sang through it. And every night I did an aria, something else, a little bit of Toreador, a little bit of Come Paride, a little bit of Figaro, all the time something else. And and then the people started gathering every night
Of course.
to listen to me. And I told them, please, like, keep the distance. Leave your phones on, which everybody's like taping. They had the show, like, keep the distance. I don't want I don't want my audience to get sick from each other. And
Aerosolized particles do travel far for opera singers.
yeah, and of course I started teaching online much more than I used to. And in couple of for a couple of months I had full-time teaching, like I wake up in the morning and I teach until lunchtime, then I keep, and it was fantastic because at that time they all still had money. And there was how do you say, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Nobody knew it will last for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and all of my contracts were canceled.
I mean, heartbreaking. At your level, it takes you're booked 3 years in advance. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see
Yeah,
those.
it's true. And some of the roles were new for me, so I didn't know, should I start even learning it, who with, alone with my piano. I mean, it's doable, it's possible, but it wasn't so easy. And I kept, but then, for instance, Ireland, February 2021, I had to go to Ireland to do La Boheme, Marcello. I don't know, 5, 6 shows, Irish National Opera. So a few months before, they canceled it. Then they said, okay, we are not canceling it. We are just going to do Irish National Opera. We think that the COVID will be gone, So instead of 6 shows, we are doing 3 shows. And then they said, okay, it's completely canceled. And then they said, okay, we are going to make a movie, like empty stage. We bring a movie crew and we make like a movie version of La Boheme. I said, okay, sure, no problem. Then everything is canceled. And then a month before, they said, how about making a CD recording? I said, sure. I have never done live professional CD recording in that kind. Well, I did some smaller ones with Zubin. I did some Requiem, but not like the whole opera. I said, absolutely, yes. So I got this special paper from the Irish government that I'm an essential worker. I had license to uh, to sing publicly and to rent a room in a hotel that has 400 rooms. There was only 9 occupants.
Wow.
Um, the Protocol 4 in Dublin, I couldn't even find the proper Guinness beer because all the pubs were closed. And we did like 1 week of rehearsing with the conductor and the orchestra with masks, completely, everything. And then we did recording, first act 2 days, each act like 2 days recording. And then the final day we did live on TV, or not in cinema, live on TV or on online, like this, the whole thing. And that was in February. That was, just like a few months before us, Andrea Boncelli did his live performance in, was it in Rome? I'm somewhere in a church. He sang a couple of arias. I think I cried. We all cried because the life that stopped suddenly it had this moment of, like, Andrea Bocelli brought this like live show to all of our homes, and he was the only singer in the moment in the whole world that was singing something live. So I mean, it was crazy. I still have goosebumps.
So emotional.
That there was a colleague of mine singing something. I mean, it's so weird. uh, so anyway, so I had this feeling things are going better. And yes, 21, the vaccines came. um, Also, I was contacted by UNICEF, or UNICEF, uh, to record a song with a very known Montenegrin artist called Antonije Pušić, or, well, his stage name is Rambo Amadeus. He's a he he made a song called Corona Party, which was which was like a commentary on today's on well today's society that is reading all the news about vaccinations as a conspiracy. And basically this song was encouragement to the whole Montenegro as a country. Well, I'm not Montenegrin, but we speak the same language. To get vaccinated, because the vaccines were available, but the percentage of interested people was really low at that moment. So we kind of tried to make it in a satirical and nice way, story against conspiracy theories and fear, and to encourage people to get vaccinated. So I did this with UNICEF and things like this, small projects. I recorded myself at home with this.
Wonderful.
So I actually bought this for because of that recording. Otherwise, anyway. So
I was
yeah,
so amazed by how creative all of our creative colleagues are. I've done almost 300 interviews on the show, and everyone had such an interesting solution, and they found ways. Some did not do much music; they did lots of reading. They learned a new language. They did something else entirely. Others went online. I have opera singers doing TikTok videos and doing mini voice lessons. I mean, it just amazed me how creative people could be.
yeah, it's true. Well, yeah, I did some videos with my children a lot. I mean, storytelling. We had some in an Instagram account, just doing storytelling in a funny way. I sang some Aaron Copland songs, like the duck says quack quack, the horse says neigh neigh, everything like this. My wife says honey honey. My wife jumped in, says honey honey. She goes out. I mean, the kids were just enjoying. We did a bunch of those little videos.
That's
and
great.
uh, and then and then the vaccines came. We all got vaccinated twice, thrice, and I think we're back in business until the new situation happens, the new variant or whatever. But now we
Seems
are
to be,
more.
they're still there. I've booked a lot of orchestras. I do a lot of contracting. I've had people get sick and have had to replace people, but the people I've been replacing haven't been incredibly ill. They've been like, they're out for a couple of days, they test positive, they rest up, they come back. So hopefully that we'll see it get more mild as the
No,
variants come.
it's true. Right now, as I'm talking, there is a somebody with COVID in my house, and everything is going fine. I mean, nobody's freaking out. They're really well. Nothing is happening. So it's hopefully it will be over in 48 hours. I mean, and that's all. But bring me back a year ago or 2 years ago, it's like the end of the world. I
Well, the
mean,
unknown is so scary, and
what to
for
do,
everyone it was unknown.
what drugs to take, what medicine to take, and so yeah, again, kudos to the Metropolitan Opera, because they have not skipped one show because of COVID. They have done, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of shows in this season without being canceled even once. Yes, they had replacement for all of us. And sometimes, if a singer says, I feel this and that, go home, we bring somebody else. But we had all the shows, we had full house, and it's fantastic. I mean, I have never seen that much effort. I mean, yes, it looks very strict, and we had to like spit in a little test tube 3 times a week, and it was sent to Mount Sinai for results. And we were, always carrying our masks, except when on stage with orchestra. Yes, it's a bit strict. It can really be, upsetting you and your projection and everything. But we did it, and I think it's fantastic that, and bunch of houses did the same thing. So
It's great to see places like the Met and the international houses finding that balance between safety and actually producing the art. Because, boy, what was it like for you the first show, the first time you were back on stage after the COVID period?
uh, for me, first of all, for me, it's all about the audience. I mean, I can put on makeup and costume and run around and then do my se vuol ballare and there, but nothing will happen unless I have somebody in front of me that I am, um, you know um, sucking their energy and then feeding myself as a night walker. I mean, we need audience. There is no I think there is no art without audience. I mean, Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is art without the audience. Maybe when you see painters, struggling painters, uh, yeah, maybe this kind of art. But performing art is performing art. You perform in front of somebody. So we are alive with them. So without them, so finally, the moment I walked on even the dress rehearsal was packed, and then the opening night was packed, and we did 12 shows packed. It's crazy. Only the first two rows were empty because that's the distance between conductor and the orchestra and the audience. And so everything else was completely either sold out or I mean, it was fantastic. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I think the audience has missed their live theater and Broadway and opera and all of our live music making just as much as as of course the performers who depend on it for a living. I think it's been just beautiful to see things emerge again.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for the people that say that opera is a dying art, nah, I don't think so. I mean, we
They've
are.
been saying that since 1790.
Yes, 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 yes. Because it's kind of a ridiculous art form to when you describe it on a paper. It sounds ridiculous, but when you're there, you know what you know. Well, you either like it or you love it. But I don't. I have. I really. I mean, I don't think I have met a person after going to the opera. I'm not talking about some modern or weird pieces or modern staging. I'm talking about, good old, Verdi, Puccini, Mozart. Like the bread. I don't think that people that have been first time in the opera came out and said, "Oh, like, I hated it." They have to be. I have always heard like they were impressed, they were shocked positively. They did not know how interesting it can be. They forgot they forgot the world around them, and they went on stage, and that's opera. That's what I felt. That's what I feel every time, and that's what I felt when I was 7 years old.
Amazing. We have a question from this is from Hideki in Tokyo. That's interesting. He asks, he goes, "What's the craziest production you've done?"
I've done many crazy ones. Um, oh my god. Um, I'm not going to say which house or which opera
You
because
can protect the
people,
names of those involved.
but it was very very it was very sexual in a bad way. There was like some sadomaso club happening on stage, and I remember I had to like strangle some girl or like simulate some horrible behavior, and she told me, "Yeah, yeah, go for it, go for it. Don't worry about it." And I said, "Yeah, but you're an actress, or she wasn't a singer, like you're an actress." And she said, "I'm not an actress. I'm a prostitute that is paid to be on stage. Like this is like like just like do whatever you want, go for it. I'm paid for it." I was in shock. I mean, so things happening on stage. I mean, that happened. Like I was, yeah, but yeah, that's the most hideous one I think I've done, and with such a beautiful, you know, music,
That's the challenge.
and
It must be a real challenge because we've had like Mark Delavan on the show, and he was talking about he did a crazy Rigoletto or something like that in Germany, and it was like on the moon, and he was this, and yeah,
yeah,
we had a good laugh about that. I mean,
yeah.
but
I don't know. I mean, I've done productions that audience hated, like with full heart. They love to hate it. They came and they booed, like the curtain's going down and it goes towards the audience because everybody's doing boo, like things like that. I mean, I mean, it's a joke, but it felt like it. I mean, they hated it, but I liked it because it was a challenge. It was a nice thing for me to walk into this weird person, weird character, and just explore it as well. I honestly I don't like classical production, classical approach. I do like modern stuff as well, and if it's done well, I don't even want to say if it's done with taste, but if it's done with a reason. If a director is solving his mother issues through us, or not, like he doesn't want to go to see a shrink, but he will direct us and deal with everything from his. That's not good unless he gives me a reason. I have done some productions where the whole cast was for a couple of days brainwashed into uh, coming into the world of this director and understanding what he wants, and we did believe the process, and we did trust it. It felt like we are a member of a sect, you know
Cult.
and we are a cult. We are believing stuff that is weird, because there's no way you can do a good show if you don't believe in it. So I mean, yeah, if you're a villain, you have to love that villain, you have to enjoy it. It has nothing to do with you, maybe. Or if you are a villain in real life and you have to sing a good boy, yeah, you have to you have to be that person, and that's a fun part. That's fun part of acting, about acting and singing on stage. So yeah, so we were part of a cult, and we did believe in it, and we enjoyed it so much, and it felt like we are doing something important. We even made a DVD out of it, and it's a good DVD. But still, people hated it. But maybe they will not, in 20 years, who knows.
Interesting, very interesting. I'm always fascinated with the artists involved's take on things, because sometimes I think it's we always put today's modern take on the music because we're modern people living and breathing today. We're not the same as Mozart society, so I think it's really important because these are universal humans themes and stories, and they can be told in different ways, and it still holds up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have nothing to add to that.
So, how do you balance your personal life? I know you're a father and you're married. How do you balance your personal life with your very busy career?
Well, I like to be. I don't know if it's a good expression. I like to be there. If I am a father or a husband, if I'm at home, I am at home. I am there for my kids and wife and the house, and I walk the dog. I cook. We travel. We play games. We do everything that a family does. When I leave and I go into the production, I am very, very focused on the production, and my personal life is confined into chat and FaceTiming. But the thing is, for many years, around 2015, I think I had kind of a crisis of not feeling at home when I'm at home, and not feeling at work when I'm working. It felt I wasn't content. Happiness comes, but I wasn't. I was very nervous when I was at home because I was thinking about work, and the moment I start working, I don't want to be there. I want to be at home. It felt really weird, and yeah, it took me some months to rethink my life and reevaluate. And although I have been with my wife for 20 something years, we've known each other for a very, very long time. We were both archaeologists, and that's how we met. um, it was not the trust issue, of course not. It was just the thing that i I had to tell myself, house is okay, kids are okay, wife is okay, everything is working. Don't think too much, don't micromanage your life when you're in production. And also when you're at home, find your window of work, from 12 to 3, whatever, 3 hours, 4 hours, and work, and then leave it and be back at home. So I managed to do that. I managed to recognize the problem I had, and ever since, it's been like 8 years. I i finally i feel good working, and I feel good being at home. So I do manage that. I mean, it's a tough one. Of course, I think there is even a group, like an anonymous group for spouses of opera singers.
Interesting. That makes
I
sense,
think
actually.
I heard of this, where, well, they all have the same problem,
Of
being
course.
no matter if they're husbands or wives, of feeling, whatever they're going through. And I can completely understand that. So luckily for me, my wife is an independent person, self-sufficient, and she can take care of herself and children, and she has her life with me and without me, like I do as well. So we choose to enjoy our company together, but also we are, two different persons that have, different ideas and plans, but it's a choice that we are together, and it's a lovely, beautiful choice.
Well, that's thank you for sharing that, because that is challenging for any artist who's on the road so much and away from home, and productions take a long time, and the travel is so important, and you have to be on the road. So that's a great advice to young people who are coming into the field, because I think everyone's got to deal with that. How do we structure our lives, both professionally and personally?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Of course, be with a friend. That's always a good advice, and yeah, well, in our life, jealousy it can be a tricky one. So yeah, you have to be open about everything that is happening, and that I think that's it.
So, what are some of the goals you have in the next chapter of your career?
Goals. Keep working. Well, I would like to stay with Mozart and Puccini as much as I can. I don't know if you hear the sound behind me, but there is a big hailstorm right through out this window. So
it sounds like someone's typing. That's funny.
Yes, just give me 1 second. Just 1 second.
David Bizic is just checking on the hailstorm in Paris and Bordeaux right now, and we are delighted he's back.
It's a hailstorm outside. It's crazy. We had this heat wave for 3-4 days. The temperatures were like over 100 or something, or 42 degrees Celsius. So we're good now. Yes. So my goals for the future. Well, yeah. I mean, I would like to stick with the repertoire I already have, because for me it's not enough to sing one role once or twice. I think, was it Mario Lanza or Caruso? I think Mario Lanza acting as Caruso in a movie where he said these arias don't reveal their secrets so easily. And also, every time you open a score that you bring your life experience into it. Even like when you read a book, or listen to music, or watch TV, watch a movie. You could be a kid, a middle-aged or old man, and you see it in different eyes. And that's the same thing with opera. So for me, really, it's not enough that I know a role and I have done it twice. I would like to stay with those roles as much as I can. And I think for me, it's a bit dangerous if I run from role to role and keep singing new stuff. Because yes, I get excited when I perform something for the first time, and when I learn something for the first time, but I don't. I want to feel more at home with some of my work. So I'm not lazy by wanting not to learn new things. I actually want to invest myself into older things that I already know more and more, because I'm not doing this. I'm doing this thing because I want to feel good, enjoy my life, and express myself. And the way I express myself is if I think about what happens inside, and then I bring it out. So whatever is inside, I like to feel at home. I need familiar music, familiar themes, and then develop them even more. That's just me. It's not like.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with the world, and I can't wait to actually see you again on the stage, and to continued success in all you're doing. And I wish you and your family nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you really much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. And yes, we'll do this one more time, sometime in the future. And see you in New York.
Continued success, my friend.
Absolutely.
Now,
Be well.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on our upcoming guests and topics. Like and share our videos, and remember, keep music alive.